And hello YouTube, this is Thomas Judge back once again with another episode of my ongoing weekly series, Valiant to the Last. I'm covering the entire Valiant universe ever since the 2012 reboot, and today, as promised, we're looking at an uncollected series, rather uncollected as a hardcover at least, and this is the 5-issue series, The Visitor. Now this started being published in 2019, it finished being published in 2021 because I think 3 issues in COVID hit and everything got massively delayed. Frankly, I'm quite surprised to have seen this being finished, but it has been. 5 single issues is available as a single trade paperback. Going into this, I was kind of vaguely thinking this was linked to the Valiant universe in a very tangential way, and the reason I say that is because of this image. This is from the Book of Death. I think it was issue 1 in the Book of Death. Basically, there's a real fleeting mention of the Visitor as a character in passing. And so I was like, oh, maybe is this like a thing? I'm also conscious that the Visitor was actually a 12-issue miniseries from the original Valiant era back in the 90s. Never read it, don't know anything about it, don't really interested in it. It's a bit too retro for my blood, but I'm aware that this is now sort of relaunching that character, I guess, or at least that name. So I dived into it. 5-issue series. What did I think? It took a couple of issues for me to actually understand where this fits in, but I'm just going to say this right now from the get-go. This, believe it or not, especially given when it was published and finished being published in 2021, this is a prologue to Rye. Do you remember the Rye thread of comics that we looked at? So like Rye, 4001 AD, Fallen World, War Mother, all that sort of stuff. Yep, this is actually linked in with that whole thing. New Japan, Father, the Killer Artificial Intelligence, even arguably Rye himself. Um, Yeah, so if I was going to put this anywhere, I'd put this as a prologue to the Rye thread of comics. That said, it's not especially good. It's not bad. It's not bad, but it's okay. But it's also unnecessary. It's very self-contained, and it's completely unnecessary to read if you're going to read the Rye comics. But if you do really fancy diving into that in some comprehensive detail, The Visitor is technically a Rye prologue, I guess. To an extent, I mean, don't get hung up by this sort of stuff because the 4001 universe, this idea of New Japan and Rye and so on, is featured and cameoed throughout the entire Valiant universe. Every single thread of Valiant we've read so far, at least everything within the universe continuity, points towards 4001 AD happening, towards New Japan happening. And this is just another part of that. That said, it feels like a relatively sensible place to put this would be as a prologue to the Rye comics. That said, it's an okay story. It's a pretty decent art with the covers, especially just smash it. But as a story, the fact that this hasn't been collected as a hardcover, yeah, I'm okay with that. I'm alright with that. That's no big skin off my nose. 5-issue series. I enjoyed it. The main character of the Visitor is interesting and kind of reminds me to some extent of Rye. Other than that, kind of the world it sort of shows and what it kind of depicts, it has some fleeting references to psyops, like Harbinger psyops, but that's about it. So literally only 2 3 issues in, I was like, this feels like it's totally standalone and out of continuity. But then I kind of realized where this fits in and what this is about. Yeah, so there we are, a 5-issue series, decentish read, and that's where it fits in, and that's where it fits into the larger narrative. Like I say, it was hinted and teased in the Book of Death issue 1, just in a fleeting mention. Keeping with that theme, for next week's homework, we're going to be reading Psylords. Now, Psylords is an 8-issue miniseries that I know nothing about, other than it was mentioned in a similar fleeting kind of one panel, one word box, text box reference in 4001 AD, The Fall of Bloodshot one shot, where it's literally just mentioned once something about the Psylords came or the Psylords went or something like that, whatever. Anyway, if I can find an image of that, I'll throw it up on screen. But my point is, yeah, I think Psylords similarly sort of links into the Valiant universe. And who knows? I'll read it and maybe I'll find out it links in as clearly as the Visitor linked in, or maybe it doesn't. Who knows? But that's our homework for next time. Let's keep this short. Let's keep this sweet. Next time is an 8-issue series of Psylords. This time was the Visitor 5-issue miniseries. That's where it fits, and I'll throw it into the map when I eventually release my Valiant reading map. Yeah, catch everyone next week. All right, thanks for watching, everybody. As always, please like, comment, subscribe. As always, please follow me on Twitter at I am Thomas Judge, where I will post a daily review of whatever comics I've been reading. You can get an idea of what I'm up to on the channel. And as always, please support the channel by heading over to Amazon.com and checking out my prose novel about superheroes. It's a completely original piece of work. The first episode in it is called Arrivals, and the series as a whole is called No Gods or Kings. You can find an excerpt of that on my website, nogodsorkings.com. Until next time, everybody, stay classy.